The second thing that came up pretty commonly was that guys are nicer. They share their snacks. They don't promote as much drama, and they're easier to ask questions and to ask for help. So I'm not sure where this kind of stems from, but I feel like there's some competition between women when they're on the unit. They get a little bit catty, you could say. I'm not sure where this competition stems from, but same with guys. There's competition with guys on the unit. They want to be the main resource usually. If nurses are asking a lot of questions, lots of times guys want to be the ones to answer those questions, and it's like a little bit of almost a competition between guys, but it's not necessarily as aggressive. I'm not sure where that kind of comes from. I know in nature men are more competitive, but when it comes to nursing, I guess the male nurses are a little bit more nurturing versus, you could say, the guys are in different fields, like you could say mechanics or finance or those other kind of different jobs, right? So maybe we are less competitive, like a job sense. I'm not sure like I said, I'm not sure where this comes from, but I feel like if you have a lot of women in the room, they get a little bit competitive about certain things. I'm not sure where that comes from. Maybe y'all can think about this and answer it in your own mind, but there just seems to be some kind of a competition, especially if there's like 2 or 3 guys on the unit. I'm not saying it's like a flirtation thing or has to do with flirting, because lots of nurses, they have boyfriends, they have husbands. So it's not necessarily like a flirty thing. It's just for some reason girls get catty, they start drama, and it just becomes like almost like a little bit of a competition that I've noticed versus like guys. We're not really competing with any of the girls, and it's a female-dominant profession. You know, we don't really care for it too much. We're just like, okay, whatever gets me from charting. If I could do and spend the least amount of time charting and do more of the hands-on work, more of the critical thinking, walking through things, thinking about things versus typing about a computer, scrolling, that's what we like to do. So we're always down to help because we just don't like sitting there. We want to just physically do something. Sometimes it drives me a little bit insane when I work on a unit and things are slow. Not that I don't like a slow unit. Sometimes you want that slowness, but on those shifts, sometimes I miss a little bit of like the critical thinking or the hands-on work, because it makes things pass by so much slower. Even though it's calm, it's nice. Sometimes I prefer that chaos because the night or the day just goes by quicker. I think also a lot of this has to do with us men being a little bit less emotional about certain things. Sometimes you girls blow things out of proportion that don't really need to be blown out of proportion, or you make up a little story because sometimes our brain works in stories where we know a part of the whole and then we kind of try to make up the rest of it, which is good in certain cases, but sometimes we go a little bit too far. I mean, even I do this. Sometimes I even overthink things, but women, you are a little bit more susceptible to these things where if you don't know the full picture, you start to think about which ways it could have went, what actually happened, and you create this story, and I think that builds up a little bit of a drama amongst yourselves, and it stresses you out a little bit more than it has to. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that men and women, we think a little bit differently. Us guys, we're a little bit straightforward. If you're going to tell us something, we prefer to know the whole thing. You can say word by word so that we kind of know the full story. We don't like having little odds and ends of pieces. We prefer to be straight shooters. Just tell me the whole thing, tell me this, tell me that, just so I know, just so I'm clear. What do I have to do? When do I have to do it? How do I have to do it? The more we know, the better we are. We don't like that extra fluff. We're always straight to the point. If I don't want to say we don't care how it made you feel, we just want to know what happened, why it happened. Let me solve it. I understand you feel this way, but that's just your emotions, and it's figured out. Let's figure it out. I know this is happening. I know how you're feeling, but let's try to make it better. We're more, you could say, goal-oriented in a sense of let's fix it and let's talk about it later versus let's talk about it and then we could try fixing it. We want to just get it done, and then we could always reflect on how it made you feel, things like that. We're not assholes, we're not dicks. It's just we think about things in different ways, and we're more mission-oriented, and then let's figure out the rest. Let's do what we have to do, make this better, and then we can figure out the next steps, what we should do.